Hey guys, it's Mr. Riz, and I'm going to help you out with the part 3. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to save my project as, change that to part 3. Okay, so what we want to do here is to set up the variables and a list for our question. So we'll be actually doing some code with this one here. So now that our user interface is complete, now yours should look better than mine, but I'm just going through a real quick run through with you guys here. We want to make sure we can store the information here. So two examples of information are the questions that you'll ask and the question number to reference to later on. So we need to set up two local variables called an index in a list and a question text. And so from these components, we're going to store the questions in a set order for each question having its own unique identifying number called an index. So each question is going to have, and that's why you think about we do this normally, like question 1, question 2, question 3. And so we can go through these here. So we're going to create a global variable and hold it in an index value. And so let's go through our code here. Move my head, I'll probably put it myself in the middle there. And let's make global variable like we've done all the time before. Variables, initialize global name, and we're going to initialize global index, and we're going to make it equal to 1. Okay. So it will access the first item in the list. So the MIT App Inventor, the index at the first index is 1. When you guys, if you take Intro to Programming or if you have taken it before Python, the first index is 0. Next, we're going to create a global variable that holds the interview questions. So we're going to go to global variable. We're going to go ahead and get another one. We'll call this interview questions. And interview questions. And we need to make a list. So here we go. We're going to make a list. Now this list is going to have the 10 questions that you're going to ask. So don't just copy in what I did, but we're going to have to get 10 items. So click and drag a whole bunch of these onto here. So we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we're going to get 10 questions. So, I'm going to just do Control C, Control V, get a bunch of those on there. Start clicking them into spaces here. And we're going to just make a list of all the questions. Okay. So I want you guys to actually type in the questions that you guys thought of. So type those in there. And I'm going to just pause my video here while I do. Okay, so now that we got all of our questions typed into our list, next thing we want to do is have this pop up. So we're going to initialize the screen. So sometimes we want events to occur as soon as the app starts without waiting for the user. For these situations, we will use the screen.initialized. And over here, we got screen 1, and not the very first, it's the third thing now, is screen.initialize. So this will happen as soon as we start the app. All right, inside of this, we're going to drag out the display questions text. So we got a displays questions text here. And we're going to change the dot text to, where is that? There it is, set display questions text to. And then we're going to get an item from the list. So to use that, there is a item here that says select item from list. And we're going to use our variables here. We're going to get the list that we are going to get is the interview questions, and the index is going to be get our global index. All right, so we'll test out the app here. So let's do that now. Connect AI Companion and change my webcam here. Turn this on. I think my battery's about to die, but here we go. What's the code? JN. You know what? I'm going to stop sharing this here so you guys can see this a little bit better. What's the code? JN VRJC. Connect with code. And once it starts, it's hard to see here, but it's a little bit better. The first question is, what would you like to do? Which if I go back, you can see that is the first question in my list. So that works. Okay, next what we want to do here is before we actually start interviews, we want to set up the list so that all the questions will be asked and recorded. And after the last response is recorded, the user will be taken back to the first question. So when the user taps the button and records the answer and then takes it to the next question, the event handler records the following in the Tiny database, or the TinyDB: the name of the person interviewed, the date, the question number, and the user response. So in order to do this, the app will also display the next question and clear only the interview answers text box. In this way, the user can go through each question, recording the information to the database. Once the user has gone through the question, the loop needs to restart to display the first question again. A control structure in this loop will determine whether the app should progress to the next question or restart the loop because of all this went through. So you can see we kind of have a good idea of what we want to do here. Now I'm going to zoom that in, see if we can kind of break this down. Oh, I can't. No, that's going to be good enough. So let's go ahead, and we got a get next question, right, button, and when it's clicked, what do we want to do here? And we got a conditional if then else that we're going to do. If then else. So if something is less than the length of the list, so let's get out of math, get out an equal sign, we'll change it to a less than. All right, we'll get a variables, we'll get a get. What do we want to be checking? Probably the index, right? If the index is less than the length of the list, and what list are we talking about? We'll have to get that variable. So if our index is smaller than the length of our list, we're going to set something to get, let's see. So what would we want to do? So when we click on our next question, we want to go to the next one, aka we want to go to make our index higher. So we're going to set our index to equal math, get our index plus 1, right? We make it go up by 1. All right, else. So this will keep going until we get to the end of our list, right? And then our global index would not be less than the length of our list. We're going to set something to a math. So if we want to make our index go back to 0 or back to 1. I'm thinking Python here. We want to go back to question 1. We want to set something to blank and another thing to blank and another thing to blank. So what would we want to go back to blank? Let's see, we probably want, let's see back up here. We want to make the interview name text black to blank. So the interviewee's name, we want to set its text to blank. Anything, and then we probably also want to, let's see, add one to itself. We set the interview name text to blank, but we have another one there too. There's got to be something we're forgetting about. Maybe, and then the interview's answer. Then after this condition, let's talk about the interviewee's answer. We'll want to make that text back to blank. All right, so I'm going to look back at my screen. What would I want to make it go back to? Nothing right now, but you know what? I'm just going to duplicate this, put it on here again, so in case we have something else we think about. Okay, so what we want to do here is to go through and add the set display text to go through after this. So once we have this set up, and if we go through, we want to met the display questions text. We want to be able to see what the next item is. So if we remember, we have this here to initialize. Control, let's duplicate this here. And after we clear out the text, we'll make it go through and show us what's on the display. So let's test this out. Let's see if this works. Let's see if I'm still connected. It's going to be kind of hard to see, but I probably should make my text bigger. So as I click get next question, you should see here that the question ends. What are your hobbies? You know what I need to do here? I need to type in a name, get next questions, and then as soon as I get to the last one, it clears it out and I go back. So if you saw that again, if we type in a name, I could type in an answer here. Maybe if I type in the answer, maybe that's what should go blank. Okay, that goes blank. Could keep typing in questions and it would go blank. And when I get to the very end, it goes back, meaning renamed goes away. All righty, guys. Well, that will end part 2, and I will see you guys for that was part 3. I will see you guys for part 4. Have a great day.